Well, I don't know why I always have problems. Maybe I should use my phone.
Well, you're good now.
You actually sound perfect, Council Vice President.
You're perfect. There was just like before it looked like you were talking and you didn't have any sound coming out. So I just want to verify you that you weren't muted. That was
I'm
all.
good now?
Yes, you're perfect. But you're always perfect though. So.
You're good, Marge. This meeting is being called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times and the Trentonian newspapers, posted on the first floor bulletin board in the City Hall, also posted on the Trenton City website, filed in the City Clerk's office, and posted, formal action will be taken. Roll call, clerk.
Yes, ma'am. I will now call the roll for the council. Mr. Blakely.
Present. Present.
Ms. Colwell-Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison is absent. Mr. Michel.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Vaughn. Mr. Harrison, have you joined us? Ms. Vaughn, have you joined us? Council President McBride.
Present.
5 of 7 members are present. A quorum is formed. I'll now call the roll for the directors. Mr. Cruz.
Present.
Mr. Cherry.
Present.
Mr. Manali. Mr. Morelli, or member of the legal department. I see Mr. Cohen is here. Mr. Cohen, are you representative?
I am present and representative, yes.
Thank you.
Also, Sally Samuel is here on behalf of the law department as well.
Ms. Coley. Director Coley. Director Mazer, Acting Director Mazer.
Present.
Mr. Director Delisle.
Present.
Director Abdul Ali. Mr. Anatiri.
Present.
Ms. Richardson.
Present.
Ms. Lavenberg. Mr. Lavenberg.
Present.
Ms. Schoenar.
Present.
I've called the roll for the directors. Good
evening, Clerk Collin. It's Robin Vaughn.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to mark you as present.
Councilman Harrison.
I will mark you as president as well, sir.
Thank you.
All council is present. If you could all bow your heads for a quick invocation. Almighty God, who holds the fate of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen.
Amen.
If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no minutes to approve tonight's meeting. For petitions, for communication petitions and reports, we have several out of the clerk's office. If you bear with me for 1 second. There are 29 communications and petitions as listed on the docket out of the clerk's office. We also have a report submitting for an approval for a raffle application filed by American Legion Post 182, Mitchell A. Davis, to pull tab from to hold a pull tab from October 18, 2020 to October 17, 2021 to benefit chamber programs and youth programs. I have a motion to approve the petitions and the report of the clerk's office.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Vaughn. All in favor of...
Second.
I already have a second from Ms. Vaughn. All in favor of approving the commission's petitions and the report for the approval of the raffle? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor? The ayes have it. Next, we have a motion to go into executive session.
President McBride?
Yes, go ahead,
Oh,
Councilman.
I'll wait until he makes the motion and then we can have the debate. Thank you.
So move.
I have a motion to introduce the executive session resolution. Please allow me to read this into the record. We have Resolution 20-609, authorizing the City Council of the City of Trenton to hold an executive session which excludes the public. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Trenton, this body
Thank you.
will convene an executive session in the City Council Conference Room, City Hall, and in this case by online meeting that will be limited to consideration of an item or items with respect to the public, which the public may be excluded pursuant to Section 7B of the Open Public Meetings Act under NJSA 10:14-12, the general nature of the subject or subjects to be discussed. Personnel, rights notice regarding the disclosure of confidential applicant information, the breach of attorney-client privilege, the breach of executive session confidentiality, the breach of rules of professional conduct regarding New Jersey attorneys, including but not limited to RPC 1.3 and RPC 1.4, and a removal pursuant to NJSA 4069A-37 and the Trenton City Code Section 2-92. Personnel, rights notice regarding the disclosure of confidential applicant information, a resolution recommending disciplinary action. Stated as precisely and presently possible, the following is the time when the circumstances under which the discussion conducted at said meeting can be disclosed to the public, October 1st, 2021, or when the need for confidentiality no longer exists, whichever is later. The public is excluded from said meeting, and further notice is dispensed with in all accordance with Sections 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. I have a motion by Council President Vaughn. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second by Council President McBride. I believe somebody wanted to entertain, Council President, you want to entertain debate before a roll call vote?
Oh, definitely. Councilman Blakely.
Mr. Conan, can you hear me?
I can. Council Vice President. I can hear you crystal clear.
I'm going to have to
President
switch
McBride.
my phone.
We can hear you, Marge.
Loud and clear.
You can, because I've been seconding, and
Oh, I
I
know.
don't
ma'am,
think
but-
Mr. Conan hears me.
Yes, ma'am, but Council President McBride beat you to the punch on that one. I apologize. But I did hear you second. It just, she came through a second ahead of time. And do you want to switch to your phone, or do you want us to wait for you to switch to your phone, or would you like to proceed?
Yeah, when we get to executive session, I'll switch to my phone.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Council President,
Mr.
you want
Conlon?
to... Yes, sir.
Mr. Conlon and Council President, I wish to submit a request and a very brief statement, if that would be possible.
Yes, but I want to entertain Councilman Blakely first
Sure.
because he asked for the floor, and then you could chime in if no other council members have anything to say. So
I just want to say, do I have the floor?
yes, Councilman Blakely.
Thank you, President McBride. I would just like to state on the record that this is a sham show trial that is being conducted to to pay back the law department for removing, or this is my belief that, I think that this is a show trial, a sham trial. Director Morelli is an asset to the city. He is someone with unimpeachable integrity. And I think the fact that we are trying to sully someone who has had an over 40-year distinguished track record as a lawyer and judge in this state is absolutely shameful. I'm not going to participate in this executive session because I think we already know that the Gang of Five have already want their pound of flesh, and they're going to take it out on John Morelli. And so I think this is a new low day. Before we know it, you all have so many lows, we're going to be subterranean because of the lack of just good sense and the vengeance that this body has, or members of this body has, on exhibiting payback. So I'm not participating in this sham show trial, and I hope that Director Morelli is exonerated. This is just a complete outrage, and I would also state that many of my colleagues are concerned about directors leaving, and here we are. My colleagues are trying to run away another director. They've already run away the fire director, and from some reports, the Health and Human Services director, due to the toxic environment of this council. And we're seeing another exodus, possibly, because John Morelli doesn't have to take this. He is someone who has a long track record, and it's just so shameful that this body is attempting to sully his unimpeachable, fantastic record of serving the people of New Jersey. And so you all are going to do what you're going to do, and I'm not going to participate in this sham show trial. Thank you.
Council President, did any other members of council wish to be recognized by Council President to debate this? Council President, would you like me to proceed to a roll call vote?
Cohen wanted to speak.
Mr. Cohen wanted to say something.
Oh, my apologies.
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate it. I just wanted to request that the designated attorneys representing Mr. Morelli and Ms. Murray be afforded the opportunity to participate in executive session and present their defenses in defense of their clients, considering that the subjects of this session are potentially in jeopardy of having their employment statuses affected in that regard. So it would be a matter of fundamental due process to allow representation to participate, to attend, and be heard if appropriate. In that, that's my request. I also want to state, on the record that I have some concerns about the process. The executive session includes a reference to rules of professional responsibility matters, ethics matters that the council does not have actual jurisdiction over. Those types of matters or complaints should be submitted to the local ethics board or the state ethics board. Number one. Number two, I have concerns that Rice notice processes and procedures are being conflated with the code requirements for removal and the statutory requirements that must be adhered to proceed with that type of draconian sanction, and that I would just caution that we, again, abide by the code and the statute. Clearly,
So I would like to know.
the legislative body has powers.
Mr. Cohen, I would like to know who, if the law department assigned an attorney for the council, because you're clearly speaking for the law department, Mr. Morelli, and I would like to know who would be speaking on behalf of this council as far as a law officer from either someone that the law department selected to represent the council? Who has the law department selected to represent the council? Because clearly you're here as representing Mr. Morelli, and so the council again is left without a legal advisor. So who would be representing us? Who have you guys selected to represent us this evening?
Council President, I am not aware that a special counsel has been designated for tonight's meeting.
But it should have been, because you're clearly here representing Mr. Morelli and Julie, and so you again leave this legislative body without representation.
Well, actually, Council President, Director Morelli and Ms. Murray have their own councils to represent them.
Right, but you've taken your opening statement is to represent them, and I just need to know, why haven't the council been given legal representation going into this hearing?
Before advising council.
Okay, please do not speak out again, or you will be removed from the room. Okay, please, this is a very serious matter. You are not entitled to speak at this meeting. This is before the council and their legal counsel. We will be going to executive session shortly, but please, members of the public, remain muted or you will be removed immediately.
Again, Mr. Cohen, no one was selected to represent us in this executive session?
Madam President, if I may be allowed to speak, this is Sally Samuel from the Law Department.
She's
I was
an
talking.
attorney in the law department.
I was
Sally.
talking to Mr. Cohen, and I just needed an answer if there was someone assigned to us to represent us in this executive session. I'm quite sure Mr. Cohen can answer that.
Yes, and I could represent that. I am not aware of a designation of special counsel to represent council in this executive session. We're designated to represent a municipal corporation, and I am just pointing out some legal issues and concerns that I have about the process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cohen. Is there anyone else on the council that would like to speak? With no one showing a hand, Mr. Conlon, you may continue.
I'll now call the roll to enter executive session. Councilmember Blakely.
Hell no.
Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
She had to phone in. Did she phone back in?
Council Vice President, are you back with us? I'll come back to her. Councilmember Harrison. Councilmember Harrison, your vote to enter executive session, sir.
Yes.
This is Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson. I just came back on. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Councilmember Michelle.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Yes.
Councilmember President McBride.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to adjourn. We have adjourned to executive session at 5:48 p.m. We will return after the executive session is over. I bid you to be patient. Yes, ma'am.
Make sure when we get into the session that all parties that are being represented are in the session, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make a statement to that at the beginning of executive session.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye. Well, I will see the council at the executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. I do not have an estimated return time, but we will return to this meeting to carry out the business of the city. Thank you very much. Members have arrived.
Can, hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we can. Ma'am, should we proceed with the call to order and the role of the council?
Is it me or I need to turn my mic up?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I
I can
proceed
hear
with the roll?
Wait a minute, I need to turn it up because I can't hear you guys.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
speaking. Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay.
All righty, so we're going back into the red.
We are back in the regular session, ma'am.
All righty. Can you make sure that the public is tuned in?
Yes, ma'am. I believe they are here, and I've made the announcement for them to mute their microphones. And I'm ready to proceed with the roll when you're ready, ma'am.
Yes, go right ahead.
I now call the roll for the council to return from executive session. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Mr. Blakely is present. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison.
He's trying to get back in.
Oh, wait.
Present.
Yep, Mr. Harrison is present. Mr. Michelle.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn.
Present.
Council President McBride.
Present.
We are returned to quorum is formed. Council President, before I proceed to the ordinances, do you want me to entertain the walk-on at this time, or do you want to wait until it is new business time?
Well, what is the normal formality to walk it on?
Well, you can take it out of order if you wish. Being that we are coming right out of executive session, everything is fresh in everybody's mind, or we can proceed and then hear it as the first resolution on new business.
Okay, so I'll walk it on now.
Okay, I have a walk-on, ladies and gentlemen, we have a walk-on resolution by Council President McBride. I would be compelled to read this into the record, Council President. Would you like me to read the resolution into the record?
Please.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a walk-on resolution introduced by Council President McBride. This will be resolution, I believe, number 619. The resolution is a resolution removing John Morelli, Esquire, as Law Director for the City of Trenton pursuant to NJSA 4069A-37 in the Code of the City of Trenton, Section 2-92. Whereas New Jersey Statutes Annotated, Section 4069A-37 confers upon the Trenton City Council the power to remove by at least two-thirds vote of the whole number of the council any municipal officer other than the mayor or a member of council for cause upon notice and an opportunity to be heard. And whereas the Code of the City of Trenton, Section 2-92 confers upon the Trenton City Council the power to, for cause, remove any municipal officer other than the mayor or a member of council. And whereas the law director has not shown the desire to work in harmony with members of the city council for the benefit of moving the business of the city of Trenton forward in a positive and productive manner. And whereas under the processes and procedures of the law department as managed by the law director, confidential applicant information was released from his office and disseminated to parties not entitled to receive that information due to its confidential and privileged contents. And whereas the law director did knowingly breach the attorney-client privilege of a city council executive session on September 3rd, 2020 in disseminating that information from that executive session to parties who were not entitled to participate in that executive session. And whereas the law director failed to obtain the proper Department of Community Affairs waiver to retain special counsel appointed for the benefit of the city council. In his failure, he caused monies to be paid to the special counsel despite not obtaining the proper DCA waiver, while giving the impression to the Trenton City Council special counsel had been properly retained, when in fact that was not true, placing the Trenton City Council in legal jeopardy. And whereas the law director has managed the legal affairs of the city of Trenton in such a way as to foster repeated and continued breaches of attorney-client privileged information, to foster disharmony, to create an environment where neither the Trenton City Council nor the city of Trenton is zealously represented by the law department or appointed special counsel in a way that fosters confidence and trust in the attorney-client relationship or meets the legal needs of the city of Trenton and the Trenton City Council. And whereas the Trenton City Council deems it necessary to cast a vote of no confidence in the Law Director, John Morelli, Esquire, for these reasons, and further believes that Law Director Morelli has breached the New Jersey Rules of Professional Conduct, including but not limited to Rules 1.3, 1.4, 1.6, and 1.7, and not zealously representing the City of Trenton or the Trenton City Council, and by causing confidential attorney-client privileged information to be released. And whereas sufficient cause exists for the removal of Law Director John Morelli pursuant to NJSA Section 4069A-37 of and the Code of the City of Trenton Section 2-92, and proper notice of an opportunity to be heard has been provided. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the Trenton City Council that Law Director John Morelli, Esquire, is hereby removed as the Law Director for cause effective immediately pursuant to NJSA Section 4069A-37 and the Code of the City of Trenton Section 2-92. That is the entirety of the contents of what is now known as Resolution 619. Once again, a resolution removing John Morelli, Esquire, as Law Director for the City of Trenton pursuant to NJSA 4069A-37 and the Code of City of Trenton, Section 2-92. I have an introduction by Council President McBride. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have an introduction by Council President McBride, a second by Council Member Vaughn. This has already been discussed in executive session. Council President, are you prepared to proceed to a vote?
Yes.
Wait, the public, I have a question, point of inquiry. There's a difference between a conversation behind closed doors and a conversation for our constituents. I mean, this is a public meeting, and it's not improper for elected officials to speak on this issue, considering it's a public matter.
I will note for the record, though, that there are other matters that require the confidentiality of this council under a court order with regard to the disclosure of certain public information that was held in executive session. But there are certain topics that cannot be discussed in front of the public. So I'm sure you're aware of what they are, Council President. There is no problem with otherwise proceeding with statements or questions from council, so long as they do not touch on that confidential matter. That is, once again, a court order is in place.
So, we're prepared to take the vote. We can't hear you, Mr. Collins.
Yes, ma'am. We will now take the vote. Council President McBride has requested to proceed with the vote on this matter. We now call the roll for the approval of Resolution 20-619. Mr. Blakely, your vote, sir.
No.
Mr. Blakely votes no. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson, your vote, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Caldwell-Wilson votes yes. Mr. Harrison, your vote, sir.
No.
Mr. Harrison votes no. Mr. Michel, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Michel votes in the affirmative. Mr. Rodriguez, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez votes in the affirmative. Ms. Vaughn, your vote, ma'am.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn votes in the affirmative. Ms. McBride, your vote, ma'am.
Yes.
The resolution passes by a count of 5-2. A supermajority is required. It has passed by a supermajority. The resolution passes. Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the second reading and public hearing on two ordinances. First, we have, and I hereby open a public hearing with regard to the reconsideration of an ordinance of the City of Trenton, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, to change the election date to the nonpartisan regular municipal election from the second Tuesday in May to the date of November general election commencing in the year 2022. This is Ordinance 20-51. The mayor did veto this ordinance. It is required to be reconsidered by council. The mayor, in his veto, did make a note to council that he believes that this should be held by referendum, which is the reasoning for his veto. We have already had a public hearing on 20-51. This is a vote for reconsideration. Council President, do you want to open up the floor to any of the council members?
Yes, definitely.
Any council members wishing to speak on this matter, please seek acknowledgement from the council chair.
Say something.
I need to know who. is
Mr.
some
Blakely,
staff-
Mr. Blakely and Ms. Vaughn have both sought recognition from the chair.
Okay, Mr. Blakely, Councilman Blakely, and then
I would say,
Councilwoman Vaughn.
yeah, I'll just say, I've spoken on this ad nauseum. This is a
Wait a minute,
very bad.
Councilman. There's a lot of
Yes.
there's a lot of static on someone's line.
Not for me.
No, I just want to make it clear so everybody could hear your statement.
I've taken care of it, Council President.
All right, go ahead, Councilman Blakely.
So I would just say there's no good reason to do this right now. We have time. This is obviously allowed by referendum. In fact, let me ask the law department, because there's been statements that we cannot do this, have this ordinance done by referendum. Can I have an opinion from someone from the law department regarding the ability to hold this by referendum?
Your statute is statutorily permitted to hold this by referendum, but it is also permitted to proceed with a resolution without subjecting this to referendum when we're just dealing with a change of the election date, as opposed
But
to.
we do have the option.
You do have the option. You have both options. Okay. Correct.
Yes,
under the law.
And I'm stating that it would be prudent for us to, particularly when we are talking about voting in ourselves more time, particularly when this is a decision that will have lasting implications. If this turns out to be a fiasco, we will be stuck with this decision for the next decade, which many of us may not be here. And so I would really, really implore us to reconsider. There's no reason to rush this. There should be more of an opportunity to study this, to get more expert, analysis. And I'm looking at what's happening in Perth Amboy. There's an issue as it relates to Perth Amboy elections. If we are, first of all, it's going to be very expensive to mail out, 40,000 ballots to the people who are registered in the city of Trenton. So that's going to be an additional cost. I mean, there's so many wrong things with this plan. And I just would hope that we would pump the brakes, that we would consider this and look at this and study this, because if we make the wrong decision, we keep saying that we want to increase voter turnout. Well, no, this could actually lower voter turnout. Furthermore, because of the staggered terms, we could actually be having more elections. And so this is not going to save us any money. This could, I think, contribute to lower voter turnout. And I think that the public, particularly on something that has such import, should have the ability to weigh in. There's no reason to rush. No reason. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need to figure out how this is going to impact it. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about that's very important. Mail-in ballots have a high rate of rejection. And so there are many people who do not, for whatever reason, trust mail-in ballots. Now, we're using mail-in ballots now because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but historically, mail-in ballots are not used, by more than 10% of voters. And so the overwhelming majority of votes in the city of Trenton elections occur at the polling place. And I believe that's going to continue once we're over this pandemic. And so when you start talking about having the overwhelming majority of voters voting in person in December, that is going to serve as an impediment to people wanting to vote. Imagine it's snowing on December 2nd. Imagine people, it's getting dark at 5 p.m. There's a significant, change from early November to early December. And I just think that we are charged with thinking about the future, and this is going to far outweigh us. I would say let's consider this in 6 months after we have had community group meetings, after we have a buy-in, after we have the last time the city of Trenton made significant changes to its government, they decided to have a charter commission. They got their brightest minds. They got folks in higher ed. They got folks in the community. They got folks in public policy to think about this in a very strategic manner. We're doing this haphazardly. That's not a smart way to do it, particularly when it can have such a negative impact. Why are we rushing this? There's no good reason. And it looks terrible when folks are, even if folks look at it as a byproduct or, a necessary byproduct of this process. It stinks. Let another council make this decision. Many folks on this call are already pretty much on the record that they're not running again. Why would you want to make this decision that you're not going to live with? And you all are going to, I just think that it's not prudent to make such a rash decision without it being thought of. I can only count about 3 or 4 nonpartisan municipalities with a runoff that use this format. And in Perth Amboy, they're currently having issues because they're having to figure out who's going to get to the runoff in December. And so I just think that we should definitely be prudent. And I would just implore you all, pump the brakes. We can reconsider this. And if I'm wrong, if I'm right and you all are wrong, this could really lead to a degraded voter turnout in this city. And I just think that it's a gamble. And if you're right, it's a gamble that we just can't risk. And particularly because we're in the middle of a pandemic, we should be extraordinarily thoughtful about these kind of decisions that are going to have long-lasting impacts. And, at the end of the day, you all are going to do what you're going to do. And unfortunately, it's going to be the people of Trenton who suffer due to your lack of judgment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Blakely. So
Council President,
can we just motion for a vote, please?
sure.
Do I have an introduction for the vote on reconsideration of Ordinance 20-51? Motion to introduce.
So move.
Councilmember Vaughn does the motion to introduce. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. I will now call the roll with regard to the reconsideration. Mr. Blakely.
So just to be clear, if we vote
Mr. Blakely,
yes.
your vote, sir? Yes. If you vote
I'm asking
yes,
a question. I am asking a point of information. I am asking a point of information. Relax. I'm asking a question. I'm unclear about if you vote yes, you are asking for it to be vetoed?
If you vote yes, you are overriding the mayor's veto.
No.
If you vote no, you are saying, I do not want this ordinance.
Yes, exactly. No.
Mr. Blakely votes no. Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson votes yes. Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, your vote, sir.
I don't see him on. I hear a lot of noise in the background.
Hello? Somebody keeps muting me. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah,
I said no.
It wasn't me. I apologize. If is your number 6433, sir, at the ending?
Yeah, I had to call in.
Sure. If IT could not mute Councilmember Harrison, his number is 609-422-6433. Mr. Harrison, your vote with regard to the reconsideration of Ordinance 20-51.
No.
Mr. Harrison votes no. Mr. Michel.
Yes.
Mr. Michel votes yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez votes yes. Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn votes yes. Council President McBride.
Yes.
The votes are 5 yeses to 2 noes. That is a supermajority. The reconsideration overrides the veto. This is now law. I will publish it in the paper. It will become law upon my publication with the certification of the override of the veto pursuant to the Faulkner Act. Our ordinance has specific publication. Next, we have Resolution 20-52. Resolution is this we have Ordinance 20-52. I declare open a public hearing with regard to state fiscal Ordinance 20-52, which is state fiscal year 2021 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Council, is it public comment?
It's open to the public, Councilwoman.
Sorry.
If any members of the public wish to be recognized to speak with regard to this ordinance, please let us know. Step up and be recognized by the council president. Anybody from the public wish to be recognized? I don't see anybody from the public wishing to be recognized for Ordinance 20-52. Do I have a motion to close public portion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Council President or Council Vice President Colwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Yes, Councilwoman McBride.
I have a second from Council President McBride. On this, I will call the roll. Mr. Blakely, close public portion.
Yes.
Ms. Colwell-Wilson, close public portion.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison, close public portion.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle, vote close public portion.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, close public portion.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn, close public portion.
Yes.
Council President McBride, close public portion.
Yes.
Public portion is now closed. We will now proceed to the council. Do any of the council members wish to be recognized with regard to the public hearing on Ordinance 20-52? Please seek recognition from the chair.
Yes, Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Yeah. I just want some clarity from the administration regarding the cap bank. That's going around, I guess City Hall with the employees. Folks are expressing, and residents are expressing concern as to what do you envision, what's the rationale for the increasing the cap bank, and what is the administration's plan for the use of the added revenue? And
Council President?
Can Mr. Cruz speak to that?
Council President, didn't we ask questions on Tuesday night? Why are we asking questions again?
Because
we
it's a
asked
public
questions on
hearing,
Tuesday night.
Sir, it's a public hearing. This is a public hearing.
Right, but Tuesday night, we asked questions. Now we're doing the same thing again.
Well, Tuesday night.
This is why the meetings go.
Tuesday night.
Right, but this is why the meetings go to 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. That's why.
This is a public hearing. She is entitled to speak. Tonight she has a request for administration.
Councilman Harrison, guess what? I agree with you. So, Councilwoman Vaughn, go ahead and let somebody answer your question. I agree with you, Councilman Harrison. So first.
Look at that. Miracles happen.
Yeah. Is there someone from the administration? No one from the administration?
This is Janet Schoenhar. I'm not from administration. I'm from finance.
Okay.
You hear me?
So this is the cap bank is a secondary part of this. The first part is the increase from 2% to 3.5% in spending. So that's what we're originally going for, is the 3.5%. We're getting a 2% from, we're allowed to go above 2% in our expenses, but we want to go 3.5%, which is allowable by law. But we need a ordinance to do that. So because of our expenses were so low in 2020 because of COVID, we need to restore the services. So going this year, going 2% above our expenses from last year is not going to restore our services. So that's why we're asking for 3.5%. The cap bank is something that's left over of what you didn't use from the 3.5%. So, in my opinion, that we probably won't have any money left over from the 3.5% this year, because we need to restore the services, because our expenses last year were so low, and it's based the 2%. The money that the state gives us originally of what we can go over is based on the previous year's expenses. So that's why we want to have this passed, is that we want to go 3.5%.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
All right. And the reason why I'm asking again is because, and I didn't ask on Tuesday, because it was brought to my attention that the administration is having meetings with the union, with the employees union, and the cap bank supposedly is they're using it as a bargaining mechanism. And I'm concerned about that, because I don't know whether that's false expectations or not. So if the money is not going to be used to support the employee contract or salary increases, etc., then that should be properly communicated. And what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is you're going to be using it for services, not
services. Services include salaries and OE. Okay, so that's what it is, and the union is negotiating a contract, so that's over and above what we spent last year. So if they want to if we want to settle on a contract, we're probably going to have to go over 2%, because it wasn't in last year's budget.
Okay, very well. I just wanted to get that on the record, because there's a lot of questions being circulated around town. Thank you, Ms. Schoenhardt.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
My question is, we had this 2 years ago. Last year, we voted it down. We voted this ordinance down last year. But 2 years ago, after we approved the budget, they came up, we had supposedly it was 5 cents, but then it went up to 11 cents. But all of a sudden, from 11, it went to 18 cents, because we had passed this cap ordinance before revising the budget. You know, we didn't know what was going to be in the budget, but we passed it because I believe we didn't know very well what this ordinance entitled. My question is, if the state does not give us the money for the budget, which I believe is going to happen, we're not going to get the same amount of money, who's going to pay for that 1.5 increase? I believe it's going to be the taxpayers, all right?
No, this is Janet Schoenhardt. I just want to say that there's going to be, we're hoping that the revenue will be also increased this year, because in COVID, in 2020, the revenues were way down. So the revenue, we're hoping that the revenues in 2020 will go up to make up the 1.5%. And I'm talking about revenues for just things like parking and just things that municipal court and other things like that.
The water, and sewer.
But if it doesn't happen, property taxes will be raised 1.5% or whatever.
I'd just like to say, though, when we introduce, the administration introduces the budget, it's up to council to decide what to cut and how much money that they want to cut and what services that need to be done. It's not up to the administration anymore. And we're just giving, the 3.5% is just giving the administration the cushion to be able to provide the services. If you don't want to provide the services, it's up to council to decide on what the budget is.
Can you answer the question? Will the taxes be increased like you did 2 years ago.
As I said, it's up to the council to decide what the budget
Okay,
is.
it's up to us to avoid it now. Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. All right. 2 years ago, we had the budget. Majority of council voted against the budget because the union members wanted to support it. Me and Mr. Blakely were the only two that supported that budget. And the last budget, this council punted it to the DCA. So when we talk about 2 years ago, we voted for the budget. No, you didn't. You fought it in court, and you lost. So make sure you remember that. Go back and check.
Well, just for your edification, we did not lose.
You didn't?
No, we did not.
Really?
No, you didn't know that it was in the appellate? You didn't know that the judge pushed it to the appellate? And we're waiting any day to go into court? You didn't know that?
I know you. I knew you guys at the end voted for it, right?
That means you lost. And you had to go to the appellate.
Right. So originally, when we came time to vote for it, the council members in the conference room voted against it. Correct.
I don't know who that was. Five voted against it, 2 voted for the budget because the union members had asked us to vote for it, but now we got selective memory. I remember this because I was there. Don't we remember this? Didn't the last budget we had, Council President, it was sent to the DCA, right? We did not vote on the budget. We sent it back to the DCA, correct? But we still had to vote on it, Councilman.
Right, but it still went to the DCA. We never made any cuts or anything to the budget. We pushed it back to the DCA. So instead of us doing our job, we pushed it to the DCA.
And then they gave us their recommendations, and we took their recommendations, and we voted.
Right. So, like I said to you, we could have done our job, but we didn't do it, so we kicked it to the DCA. There you go.
And it ended up in the appellate division. It was not a loss. Judge Jacobson did not rule on it. She pushed it up to the appellate division herself for the person that said, if it's in the appellate, it means you lost. No. Judge Jacobson pushed it to the appellate because she did not want to make any ruling on it. So there you have it. So anyway, we have an motion on the floor for this 20-52. It needs to be voted on. And so where are we at, Mr. Conlon?
I need a motion to introduce, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I do have my apologies. I do have a motion to. No, my apologies. I need a motion to introduce.
Motion to move.
I have a motion from Council President McBride to introduce. Second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
What is this ordinance again?
This is 20-52. This is an ordinance for state fiscal year 2021 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Mr. Blakely votes yes. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson votes yes. Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison votes yes. Mr. Michel.
Yes.
Mr. Michel votes yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez votes no. Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Ms. Vaughn votes no. Council President McBride.
How many votes you need to pass this? Because I want to vote no, but I don't.
I believe this only requires a 4 out of 5 because it's not an actual budget resolution. I'm going to defer to Mr. Cohen on that.
It's a
That is correct.
So we currently have 4-2, Council President.
Okay, so my vote will be no. I don't want the taxes to go up on the residents. I don't want this increase to affect the residents and their taxes. That's why I'll vote no.
The ordinance does carry. It is passed by a vote of 4-3.
Mr. Conley.
Yes, ma'am.
I think only 4 votes.
Say again, ma'am. I'm sorry. Repeat that, please.
I think that you need to research whether or not that particular appropriation needs 4 or 5 votes.
I believe it needs 4, ma'am, according to the best information that I have. I've looked up the statute. It is not directly on the budget. It's only for the cap bank, but I will double check that. But as it stands now, I believe 4-3 does carry the motion, and it is approved at second reading. If there is a mistake, I will issue a statement to that effect tomorrow. But I did ask Mr. Cohen, and Mr. Cohen is in agreement that it only requires 4 votes. Is that correct, Mr. Cohen?
It's not specifically on the budget, it's on the cap bank, so I would agree.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, Ms. Garrett, this is not time for public portion or public comments. My apologies. The voting on this is closed, and at public portion you can certainly speak. We did call for public portion during the vote. I did not see
Someone muted me.
Okay, but we passed that, Ms. Garrett. So we need to move on.
Sorry, ma'am, the public portion on this is closed. Okay, we are going to go next to, my apologies,
To the
new business, resolutions. First, we have resolution, if I could just get my agenda, please. First, we have a consent agenda we have consent agenda resolutions. Would Council President would like me to read the numbers of the consent agenda resolutions into the record?
Yeah, just read the numbers. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. First on the consent agenda, we have 20-572. We have 20-573, 20-574, 20-575, 20-576, 20-577, 20-578. 20-584, 20-585, 20-586, 20-587, 20-589, 20-595, 20-596, and 20-597. Those are the resolutions for the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any of the items out of the consent agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to introduce the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. I'll now call the roll to approve the consent agenda. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Consent agenda carries. Those resolutions are approved. We should now proceed to the non-consent agenda items. First up, we have resolution number 20-579, a resolution authorizing a contract extension to 22nd Century Technologies, Inc. to New Jersey State Contract number M-2001, 18-GNSV2-00348 in an amount not to exceed $15,000. Floor is open for debate. Council President, do any council members wish to be recognized?
1-5
This is 20-579, ma'am.
on the $15,000 one that I felt like that someone from the city of Trenton could do that job, filing and whatever, and all sorts of things. Okay, we can move on to the roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Do I have an introduction? I have an introduction.
Second.
Blakely. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
No.
Mr. Michelle votes no. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez votes yes. Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn votes yes. Council President McBride.
No.
Council President McBride votes no. The resolution carries 5-2. Next, we have Resolution 20-580. A resolution authorizing an amendment number 2 to contract with the law office of Raynone, Coughlin, and Mincello LLC to continue providing professional legal services regarding labor and employment matters in an amount not to exceed $45,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Blakely, and I had a second. I didn't hear who seconded it.
Councilman Harrison.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open for debate. Does anybody have any comment on this? Please seek recognition from the chair. Council President, there is no comment. Shall I proceed with the roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Blakely, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Abstain.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson abstains. Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison votes yes. Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle votes yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez votes no. Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Ms. Vaughn votes no. Council President McBride.
No.
Council President McBride votes no. This motion fails. Vote is 3-3 with 1 abstention. Motion does not carry. Next, we have Resolution 20-581, a resolution authorizing resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with the law offices of Trimboli and Pruzanowski, LLC, to provide professional legal services regarding labor and employment matters in an amount not to exceed $30,925.
So moved.
I have a motion by Council President Caldwell-Wilson, or Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Blakely. Floor is open for debate. Any council members wishing to speak with regard to Resolution 20-581, please seek recognition from the chair.
Move to the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I'll now call the roll. Councilmember Blakely.
Yes.
Councilmember Blakely votes yes. Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Council Vice President says yes. Councilmember Harrison.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrison votes yes. Councilmember Michelle.
Yes.
Councilmember Michelle votes yes. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez votes yes. Councilmember Vaughn.
No.
Councilmember Vaughn votes no. Council President McBride.
No.
Councilmember McBride votes no. The resolution carries 5-2. Next, we have Resolution 20-582, a resolution authorizing the temporary current fund budget appropriations prior to the final adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget of the City of Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed in an amount of $28,888,158.18.
So moved.
Second.
Introduction by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. I have a question. I have a point of order question for Mr. Cohen. Mr. Cohen, is a public hearing required on this introduction of temporary budget?
No. It's not an ordinance, it's a resolution. Public hearing required.
And do we have to read the entire budget into the record?
Just read the title of Resolution 20-582.
Okay. To send from the legal department, this is a resolution authorizing the temporary fund budget appropriations prior to the final adoption of the fiscal year 2021 municipal budget of the City of Trenton, New Jersey. Introduction from Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson, second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open for debate.
We can move to the vote.
Yes, ma'am. We're moving to the vote. I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of feedback.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Next, we have Resolution 20-588, a resolution authorizing emergency utility appropriations for the state fiscal year 2021 temporary budgets of the City of Trenton. Once again, this is Resolution 20-587. Do I have an introduction?
So moved.
I have an introduction by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate. Council President, no one is seeking recognition. Would like me to proceed to a vote?
Yes.
Roll. Councilmember Blakely.
Yes.
583.
Yes.
It's a lot of noise, and they need to mute themselves because this is city business.
Yes.
And you can't conduct it with all this noise.
Mr. Harrison voted yes. Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
I was asking what resolution was this?
Oh, my apologies. This is Resolution 20-587. This is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the fiscal year 19 Comprehensive Opioid Abuse Program Overdose Addiction Mapping Application. Hold on, wait. There is...
No, it was 588.
588.
My apologies, 588. That's why I caught myself off guard there. This is a resolution authorizing emergency utility appropriations to the state fiscal year 2021 temporary budget of the City of Trenton. Thank you. And we were up to Councilmember Rodriguez's vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez votes yes. Councilmember Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-275, a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting in lieu of public bidding for public health supported services. Do I have an introduction?
So moved.
I have an introduction by Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. The floor is open for debate.
Continue with the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Ms. McBride. Council President McBride.
Which, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. It's 20-275, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm bidding for public health support services. I need to look my.
Mr. Michelle, we are getting some type of tone coming out of your phone. If you can move it or adjust it accordingly. We're getting a lot of feedback there. Thank you, sir.
I'm just trying to see what this is before I place my vote.
Yes, ma'am.
20-575.
This is 20-275, a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contract in lieu of public bidding.
I'm gonna abstain because I don't have that in front of me, and I don't want to vote on it.
The resolution carries by a count of 4-2. Next, we have Resolution 20-483.
So moved.
I have an introduction by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. I have a second by Council Member Vaughn. The floor is open for debate.
We'll continue with the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I'll now call the roll. Mr. Blakely. Mr. Blakely, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell-Wilson, your vote, ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn, your vote, ma'am.
Yes.
Council President McBride, your vote.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. Resolution 20-483 is approved. Next, we have Resolution 20-485, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Levi Construction Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $226,200 through bid 2020-46. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council President Caldwell-Wilson. I'm sorry, the second came from Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison seconded. Floor is open for debate.
No good.
Please mute your phones if you are a member of the public, so we do not get your background information. Thank you. Floor is open for debate.
We may move to a vote.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to move to a vote. I'll call the roll now. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn. Is 20-485, Ms. Vaughn. I cannot hear you, ma'am. You might be muted.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn votes yes. Council President McBride.
Yes.
Yes, 20-485 passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-480, 20-486, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Chios Contracting Corporation in an amount not to exceed $189,450 through bid 2020-45. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Was that Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you. The floor is open for debate.
Continue to vote.
Yes, ma'am. Now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. We'll now proceed to Resolution 20-487. Resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Levi Construction Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $651,600 through bid 2020-49. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open for debate.
Continue to vote.
Yes, ma'am. I'll now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle. Yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ms. McBride. Council President
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Resolution 20-487 passes. Next, we have Resolution 20-488, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Scazzari Builders, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $754,245. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved. So moved.
By Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Floor is now open for debate.
I have one thing that I would like to say. Once these contracts are awarded, I will definitely be tracking their advertisement for the local employment in the Section 3 piece, and I would hope that Mrs. Razat will be tracking that too.
Yes, I will relate that requirement.
Okay, any other comments from council? Council President, would you like me to proceed to a vote?
Yes.
Now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ms. McBride.
Yes. Sounds like someone is in a car.
It's actually Council Vice President's phone. She's having some feedback issues. I'll see if he can straighten them out before the next meeting.
I was on mute.
Yeah, I actually put you on mute for a second so I could hear the votes, ma'am. I'm sorry about that. Next, we have Resolution 20-489, which is a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to IBM Construction Corporation in an amount not to exceed $243,687 through bid 2020-55.
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate. Council President, would you like me to proceed to a vote? No one seeking recognition.
Yes, definitely.
I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
So ordered. The resolution passes by a vote of 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-534. A resolution approving the fiscal year 2020 to 2024 Consolidated Plan and the Community Development Block Grant Program, Home Investment Partnerships Program, and Emergency Solution Grants Program, fiscal year 2020 Annual Action Plan. Do I have an introduction?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What happened to 20-590?
That's next, man.
Oh, okay.
That is on the docket next. We're on 20-534 right now.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson, a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate. Council President, you want me to proceed to a vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Vote passes 7-0. The plan is approved. Mr. Delisle, if you'd like to see me in the morning for that resolution, I know you have a time deadline for it. Next, we have a resolution authorizing the award of a contract with the law offices of Goldenberg, Mackler, Saya, Mintz, Pfeffer, Bonici, and Gill to provide professional in-rem foreclosure services in regards to special counsel through a fair and open process in accordance with the NJSA 1944A-20.5 et sec in an amount not to exceed $250,000 through RFP 2020-20. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Floor is open for debate.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that, I have some questions about this particular resolution and this law firm. I have requested additional documentation to kind of satisfy my questioning. And the administration, they turned it around in a timely manner, and it was, but the content of it really, didn't show the proposals that were submitted by the other law firms. It did, however, they did give me an application and showed me, but it was an incomplete application, and then they showed me a compilation of all the law firms, like a bid list or some sorts. But it didn't tell me exactly what other law firms responded to the RFP that went out in June. Those are the documentations that would really satisfy my request. And I would want to table this until I see those other proposals. I did read through Director Delisle. He was gracious enough to send some of the history around this law firm and the services that it has provided over the years. And they've been around a long time, providing this, the same service around, in-rem foreclosures. And, but my concern is that it seems like they're the only, the only gig in town. And that's the problem that I see. I would think that there would be other law firms, maybe at a cheaper rate, because $250, I've seen some of the previous contracts. One was like $600,000, $300,000. Those are pretty large numbers for, to do foreclosure services. And I was just curious to see whether there are other law firms out there who would do the same service on, less expensively. That's all I had to say about this. Thank you.
So are you putting a motion to table? What do you?
I want a table.
Okay, so
there's already a vote on the floor.
Say again, sir?
There's already a vote on the floor.
There is a subsidiary motion to table in comparison with the motion on the floor, which is the main motion. Just give me 1 second.
So because she did not make her motion before the motion went on the floor, we have to vote on the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, that's fine.
And that is the motion.
That actually is the privileged motion, so we can actually vote on that motion on the table.
Okay, so, is it my turn to vote?
No, yeah.
No,
I
not
don't
yet,
know
yeah.
I don't know if we are.
We're gonna go with the first motion.
Right, I didn't know if you wanted to end debate or not, or continue with debate.
No, we wanted to move for the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I have a motion on the floor to approve by Mr. Harrison. I have a second by Councilmember Caldwell-Wilson. We'll hear that motion. Mr. Blakely. This is
Yes.
to approve, not to table. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ms. McBride. Council President McBride.
No.
Vote carries 6-1. Next, we have Resolution 20-591, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44A-20.4 et sec to French and Perello Associates, BA, for the professional design, environmental, and engineering services for the design, development, and permitting at Scarpati Site, Block 22001, Lot 1, 302 and 4, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $69,950 through RFP 2020-31. Do I have an introduction?
So move.
I have an introduction from Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open for debate.
Continue for the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I will now call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Resolution carries 7-0. 20-591 is approved. Next, we have Resolution 20-592, a resolution authorizing application and acceptance of a TD Bank Tree Days grant to plant trees in Cadwallader Park. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. The floor is open for debate. Seeing no one wishing to be recognized, Council President, would you like me to proceed to a vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell, Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Resolution carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-593, a resolution authorizing a contract awarded to She International for computer equipment, desktop servers, and storage, including peripherals and related services, through NASPO Valley Point Computer State Contract Number MNWNC-117 in an amount not to exceed $37,948.60. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate.
We continue.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-593, I'm sorry, my apologies, 20-594, a resolution authorizing a contract awarded to 72 Hour LLC doing business as National Auto Fleet Group for the purchase of 3 2021 Freightliner M2 106 setback axle chassis with Bow Rock 11-foot heated dump bodies with accessories for the City of Trenton, Department of Water and Sewer, Trenton Waterworks, Construction and Maintenance Crew, C&M personnel in an amount not to exceed $421,326. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman
Second.
Caldwell-Wilson. I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate. Council President, would you like me to proceed to a vote? No one wishes to be recognized.
Yes.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
No.
Council President McBride votes no. Resolution carries with a vote of 6-1. Next, we have Resolution 20-595, a resolution exercising the option to extend the contract awarded to the K Street Group for armed security guard services at Trenton Water Filtration Plant in an amount not to exceed $252,025.20 through bid 2019-39. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open for debate. Council President, would you like me to proceed to the vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
No.
Council President McBride votes no. The vote is 6-1. The motion carries. So ordered. Next, we have Resolution 20-596. A resolution exercising the option to extend the contract awarded to Allied Control Services, Inc. for instrumentation, calibration, and repair services for a period of 1 year in an amount not to exceed $199,060 through bid 219-33. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Floor is open for debate. Anyone who wishes to be recognized? Council President, would you like me to proceed to the vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Council President McBride.
Where are we at? Okay, for the calibration?
20-596. Yes, ma'am. The calibration equipment.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-597, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Municipal Maintenance Company for the furnishing and supply and installation of 4 24-inch filter drain valves for the City of Trenton Department of Water and Sewer, Water Utility, Water Filtration Plant in an amount not to exceed, I'm sorry, that was on the consent agenda. We are actually out of resolutions. My apologies. Resolutions are closed. We do not have any ordinances for introduction tonight. The floor should now be open to public comment. Ms. Sherry Garrett was the first one to seek recognition from the council.
Go right ahead, Ms. Garrett.
Yes, I just wanted to say, in regards to earlier, about 2052, just that I tried to speak and the city clerk kept saying anyone from the public, and I was saying hello, hello, and it was double muted. So again, there's something, this system has to be upgraded because I think it's my right to be as a voter and a constituent of Trenton to be able to speak at these public meetings, especially these council meetings. So I really don't appreciate it. And it seems like we keep getting someone new who's been managing the equipment and still not familiar of how to manage it, how to work it. So I think, that needs to be corrected. Some of the bills that were, were passed. I don't think that they were really thought out. Again, I think we're spending too much money, and I just think that with regards to the, this is why I apologize. In regards to ordinance with the foreclosure, the law firm, there are companies that what law firms do for foreclosure, they outsource the foreclosure process. So you're paying for the company that actually does the legal paperwork, and then you're paying for the law firm that the work between the company that actually do this type of work and the law firm. So I think that it would be beneficial to the city of Trenton, instead of going to these law firms for services that they already outsource, that we would actually employ or see if we can find these companies that wouldn't cost us as much money for the same services that the law firm is charging us. So just to give a heads up on that, because it seems like we keep, it seems like the administration and the council believing that these law firms actually do a lot of the bulk of the work, and they do not. And we're paying them top dollar to do that, and that's not the case. So a lot of the work is done in a law firm is outsourced to another company. They do the work, so they're billing you for what it costs them to outsource it, and then for you hiring them. So you're paying probably 2 or 3 times more than what you have to. So again, and some of these other things in regards to the Section 3, again, I hope that they do take that in consideration, and the council also make sure that the other form that has to be filled out to make sure the number of people they hire on these jobs, that they are Trenton residents, and that it also find out what they're paying them, and also what job they're doing, and repeated reporting to make sure these people are on the job for a long amount of time, and they report and then they fire them, and then they bring their own people on, because that's part of the construction industry. With regards to affirmative action, they bring on the people of color, and then once they pass the federal requirement, then they lay them off, and then they bring their cousins or whatever relatives on. So that's an issue in the construction industry. That's it. I don't know if I could. Oh, and in regards to the changing the election, I don't know what the issue is with that, but there shouldn't be a problem with that. I thought we were going to get rid of the runoff, and if that's the case, if there's a runoff issue, maybe we need to do primary election prior to the November election. We do a runoff in May or June for primary. So there's only 2 candidates that will be running in the primary by the time the primary election is over. So when November comes, we only have to worry about those 2 individuals who won the primary. And thank you very much for taking immediate action in regards to the executive session, in which you guys, took control of the situation, and things happen. Just because someone has a long record does not mean that they're qualified. People do get hired just because they are association or who they know doesn't mean they're qualified or they should be in certain roles of authority. That's it. Thank you.
Council President, Ms. Caitlin Fair wishes to be recognized by the chair.
Go right ahead, Mrs. Fair. Ms. Fair.
Ms. Fair, please unmute yourself and be recognized.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin Fair, 215 South Clinton Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. To begin, I just wanted to provide a point of clarification. In a previous meeting, it was stated that I had given some misinformation regarding the ability of residents to request the full text of resolutions and ordinances. And it was stated that residents are not privy to the backup documents that accompany resolutions and ordinances, which is in fact true, and I am aware of that. And the public is generally not privy to those documents, but that's not what I had stated. I stated that the public can request the complete text of resolutions and ordinances as a supplement to the abbreviated version that appears on the dockets. And this is indeed factual. It's how I was able to access the full text of the Trenton Waterworks bond ordinances. I also consulted the city administration just to clarify and make sure that I was not, in fact, misinformed or incorrect. And this included the city clerk to confirm this. And I was additionally informed that the city publishes the full text documents as a courtesy to residents via the city website before the Thursday meeting once the docket has been finalized. So I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that in the event that they wanted to access that information. I'd also like to point out that there continues to be what seems to be some propaganda being shared by this council about certain points, which I don't really care to harp on. However, I do want to make one statement on the matter regarding the elections. In all the unremitting discussion about moving the election, not once has it been mentioned or brought up as a concern that there is a direct and major correlation between carceral involvement and low civic engagement, both of which Trenton has staggering statistics in, and particularly regarding the latter has exponentially more of than our neighboring municipalities. While the election date be what it may at this point, I would beg to think that this is something that perhaps council would seek to explore and address, considering their fanatical preoccupation with voter turnout. In addition to these clarifying points, I would just like to publicly address the way that I was treated, though not for the first time, by Councilwoman Vaughn during the Tuesday meeting preceding the last. After laughing and appearing to yell at me through her screen throughout my public comment, Ms. Vaughn proceeded to, in so many words, accuse me of being a liar, a racist, and a non-citizen of Trenton. Additionally, in a later meeting, as I have interpreted, I was also called a vulture by Council President Kathy McBride. Now, the irony of being accused of being a racist by someone who adamantly advocated for broken windows style policing in Trenton and then promptly blocked me on social media for pointing out that it was one of the most racist forms of contemporary policing we've seen in our lifetime and disproportionately targeted Black and brown people is not lost on me. I will not belabor this point, but I will say this. My goal was never and will never be to wage a personal war against anyone. And I will never sacrifice righteousness for the sake of being or appearing to be right. But I am committed to both being accountable and holding others accountable. And when you come to a council meeting of your city as a taxpaying resident and active community member, and your comments and input are completely dismissed, let alone ridiculed, an elected official intentionally attempts to assassinate your character, and anything you say ultimately feels like yelling into a void, that is a serious problem. People see and hear the way you guys treat each other, the way you treat other city employees, and the way you treat constituents in these meetings on Facebook and elsewhere. Y'all think that people don't attend these meetings and pay attention when you do things like condemn city administrators for not hiring more people after you have voted against their proposed budgets to do so, or demanding we hire Trentonians and Trenton-based contractors while also demanding that we forbid a Trenton-based contractor from being selected for contracts and vote down deals that will create jobs for Trenton residents. Many people don't want to speak before you to share their thoughts and opinions because of this behavior. Is that the legacy that you all want to leave? People are afraid to come before council because of the way you all treat people, and that is shameful. But I will not be intimidated by bullying, name-calling, accusations, or otherwise, and I will continue to advocate for myself, my neighbors, my friends, my kids, and my community members who share with me their thoughts and opinions and desires for our beautiful city. You guys have a big responsibility. That is not lost on me. You have a responsibility to the residents of this city, and not just the ones you know personally or the ones who agree with you on everything or even the ones in your ward, but also to the administration and to each other. You have a responsibility to each other. If you are assuming in this moment that I'm referring to you specifically, ask yourself why. If you're assuming I'm talking about someone else or ones other than you, ask yourself why. Really explore where that's coming from, because I'm talking to all of you, each and every one. I know the administration has its issues, that many of us aren't privy to. I know some of the things that have gone on and are going on, and I don't fault you for being angry, outraged, skeptical, insulted, and even indignant. I am too on many fronts, but there is still a job to be done and a city to run and be revitalized. There are still people counting on you to do your jobs with integrity and wisdom. And when we allow our anger to take over, skepticism to cloud our vision, and a spirit of retaliation toward anyone to lead our actions, we are failing at our job. Somebody has to right this ship, and each one of you has the opportunity to course correct. Should each of you take on the challenge of evaluating your own contributions to the state of things collectively, you have the power to turn this around. Do not cut your nose to spite your face. Do not allow yourselves to stand in the way of progress because of where or who it might come from. And lastly, I'm really encouraged by the way this meeting was run. I think that it was run smoothly, although I don't agree with all the decisions that were made. I appreciate the way that council was able to come together and get the job done, for better or for worse. And in closing, Ms. Vaughn, if you have any additional legitimate questions or concerns about me or my residency in the city, I, in all warmness and sincerity, invite you and anyone else on this council to visit me at my home. I do indeed have chocolate for council president as per her request. And as firmly as I believe in accountability, I also believe in grace and loving kindness. And perhaps by employing those, many of us, including myself and members of this council, can find some common ground. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Mr. Conlon, is there anyone else?
I do not see anybody else seeking recognition. Does anybody else wish to be recognized for the city council?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Please state your name for the record with your address.
My name is Shirley Bridgewater. I'm at 207 Reading Avenue.
Good morning. Bridgewater.
I'd just like to say thank you, council, for the hard work that you all do. I have criticisms about many things, but I'm not sitting in your seat, nor am I walking in your shoes. I would like to also say that I appreciate the movement of elections to November. Representation is linked. It's linked. It shouldn't be something over here in May and something else over here in November. Too many people don't understand the relationships between who they vote for, and the fact that when they vote for a council person, they could very well be voting for a senator, and they could very well be voting for president. And I think that some understanding will be brought about by moving those elections to one time, just one date. I think that's valuable, and I don't care if you guys are on there for 6 more months. Somebody's going to be on there for 6 more months. I mean, 3 people on the council I don't vote for anyway, so I don't know if I like them or not. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. The money's going to be paid. What's good is that people understand that involvement occurs around the idea that representation is linked, and it should not be separated. We voted for President Obama, and we said, get on your horse and go out and save the country. Well, we didn't vote on the horse because that election was held in May. And we need to understand how these things are linked together. Nonetheless, I thank you guys for being up this late doing hard work. And that's all I have to say. Good night and be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Anybody else wishing to be recognized? I have Lydia seeking recognition. Lydia, can you please state your full name for the record and your address?
Yeah, my name is Lydia Thornton. It's 1219 West State in Trenton.
Good evening.
I'm sorry?
Please proceed, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me. I only actually have one quick thing to say. Well, 2. First off, I think that we insult the people of Trenton by assuming that if it's too cold, they won't vote. That is just ridiculous. That's like saying it's too hot in June to vote if it's 100 degrees out. By a fluke, people won't come. We're probably going to be more in a lot of written ballots anyway submitted. Probably even in the next 2 years, people will get comfortable with it, and hopefully we get more voting in. The other thing that I would like to speak on is I've noticed that in all these meetings, there is only really one and sometimes two council members who keep their cameras on. Now, if you guys were sitting on the dais, we could see all of you. It would be a normal thing. And yet on this platform, everybody seems to think it's okay not to be seen. And I don't know if, I mean, I don't care if we're in t-shirts, frankly. But I think it would be polite to the public if y'all, besides Mr. Colon and Ms. Vaughn, kept your cameras on. So that's all I had to say. Sorry for the background noise, and thanks for letting me speak.
Ma'am, were you referring to me? My camera is on, but if you had another council member, I'm not a member of council, I'm the clerk.
I'm aware, but you at least have the courtesy to keep your camera on the entire process. And I know you're not a council member, but you're a part of the meeting.
Good enough.
A vital part of it.
I just wanted to clarify, I'm not a council person.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Council President Sonia McCray-Richards is seeking acknowledgement by the council.
Yes, definitely.
Ms. McCray-Richards, please unmute yourself and be recognized.
Yes, hi. Sonia McCray-Richards, 1425 Stuyvesant Avenue. I'd like to speak to 2 points of action that took place tonight. One being the resolution that was passed to remove the Director of Law. I've sat in on many of these here meetings, and I did not comment. And I'm sure the majority of individuals who are listening will agree that somehow during the course of these last 4 years, the majority of council, I'm sure they must have gotten a law degree or something, or maybe you slept at a Holiday Inn the night before council meeting, because you all seem to know more than any legal mind or any professional mind that we put before you. You all have all the answers and know everything. But let me be the first to say, the resolution that you passed tonight is not worth the paper that it's written on. So, and you will be shown that very soon. You should take from the past and know that you need 3 points to remove a director. You need the mayor, you need DCA, and then council can approve. He was hired under the MOU, and you have to remove him under the MOU. But you'll be shown that at a later date. And secondly, this removal resolution is nothing but a retaliation because the mayor removed your council from you. But I'll digress off that point because it will be shown to you in the very near future. Secondly, I'd like to read what an appeal is, since someone said that they didn't lose an appeal. An appeal is a request for the higher court to review a lower court's decision. An appeal lawyer handles the case on the appeal when the party loses or is unhappy with parts of the decision or the entire decision. That's when it goes to an appeal court. So at some part of the decision was lost, if not the higher decision. That's why it's in the appeals court. So I'd like to correct you on that one. Thank you and have a good night.
Next, we have Mr. Dan Fatton requesting to be recognized.
Yes, Mr. Fatton.
Mr. Fatton, please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Council. Dan Fatton, 120 Jackson Street in Trenton. I wanted to speak and again implore Council to reconsider this moving of the election without allowing residents to vote on the move. You know, I think at some point I might actually vote yes and would support the idea of moving the election to November. But I really didn't appreciate the last time I spoke to Council. My comments were mischaracterized and made to seem as though I was saying something that I was not. So I want to be clear. I understand that Council has the authority to move the election. But what I was saying before, and I'll say again, is that I think a best practice, that I think the proper process, that I think the way to ensure the most input would be to allow residents to have a vote, to provide a referendum. Already tonight, the very first speaker who spoke during the public comment period mischaracterized what the move would do. It does not eliminate a runoff election. So the fact that there's broad misunderstanding or differences of understanding in terms of what the resolution will or will not do, the fact that there's been inadequate opportunity for residents of this city to weigh in on this, to me means that it should be considered, there should be an ongoing dialogue, there should be community meetings, there should be a referendum where everybody gets a say and votes whether or not to move the election. If time would tell, and I think that many folks may in fact vote yes. You heard speakers tonight say yes, and you're hearing speakers tonight say no. I don't think that it would necessarily be a clear answer, but I'm asking that you not pass this resolution and that you allow instead voters in the city of Trenton to decide whether or not to move the election. I think that that would be in line with your stated intent, which is to maximize participation, which hopefully we all agree would be a good thing. I don't want to dissuade people from voting. And I actually think that moving to November might very well have good benefits. But doing it in this way without the opportunity for everybody to vote on it, I think is wrong. And I'm not saying that it's required, despite what others ascribed to my own comments. No, I'm saying that it would be the right thing to do, that it would be the proper process, and that it would be more in line with true democracy. So I'm just, again, please asking that you reconsider the idea of doing this through your own vote of 7 people who I don't think should decide this. Yes, you have the authority. I don't think that you should. So thank you very much.
Anybody else wishes? Oh, I'm sorry, Council President.
I was just thanking him.
Anybody else wish to be recognized? Council President, I don't see anybody else. Do I have a motion to close public portion?
Hello?
Oh, hold on one second. Somebody's coming in. Yes. Who's speaking?
My name is Paulette.
Paulette, you wishing to be recognized by council?
Yes, I live in Trenton. I live on Clegg Avenue.
Can I have your full name, please?
Paulette Dowling.
Miss Downing.
Hi, how are you? I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I hope so. It was the 20-5334. Was that a resolution?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that a block grant?
That was a resolution approving the fiscal year 2024 consolidated plan and the community development block grant, CDBG funding to Home Investment Partnerships Program and Emergency Solutions Grant for fiscal year 2020 action plan. So it's the 5-year CDBG action plan by the administration.
Right. I know all that, but my thing was when I live in East Trenton. When we had meet with the mayor, he explained to us that City Council is holding on to the money. Where I have homeowners, senior home owners out here as well as I am that needs repairs. So I talked to a David McMillan. He works in the mayor's office, and he connected me with a Farrah G-E-E, and she said that the CDBG funding, she said that they have exhausted all housing rehab funds. However, there is a 9,000, but my thing is, like I explained to her when she said they had a waiting list. Well, I asked her, how do you get on a waiting list? And she said this is announced in the paper, and I don't remember, anybody telling me or seeing anything that was in the paper about senior homeowners rehabilitation money that they have for seniors, home repairs. Now, there is none. And I'm just now finding out about this, and I don't, like I said, I don't remember ever being in the paper letting you know that you could sign up. So she was saying that she could put me on a mailing list. If that's what it took, if that's what it takes to know what's going on, then put me on. So that's my question. Things that's for our seniors. I've been a taxpayer for God knows how long, and when I come where I need something and I can't get it because there's a waiting list and there's no more money, and, that's not, for me to hear that, that's like a, you know, what's going on, you know. I pay my taxes and everything. I'll get some if I don't pay my taxes, but then when they have money for homeowner repairs for seniors, you don't know nothing about it, and when you find out about it, it's all gone. The government, the county government block grant, you know, that's my concern of knowing that things are here for us, and you don't know nothing about it, and when you find out about it, it's been exhausted, money-wise. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We're still here. We're listening to you. This is your time to comment. We're listening to your comments.
Yeah, well, that's what my comment is.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anybody else wish to be recognized by the council? Do I have a motion to close public portion?
Any answer to me? Do I get an answer or what?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't understand the question. My apologies.
The question was.
You'll be answered during the civic comment. We just give you the public a chance to express your concerns, and then during civic comment, someone will address your concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Council President, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Yes.
Anybody else wish to be recognized? Do I have a motion to adjourn for public portion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson to close public portion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Council President McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Public portion.
Because I have heard that from so many folks, and we have heard it here in council sessions. I believe a constituent here in the West Ward, Miss Mary Horn, who's a senior, who also is in communication with a whole community group of seniors that experience the same. Every year after year after year, they're told that, you know, that the application window has closed and the city is no longer accepting applications for their home improvements. These seniors, they need, you know, ramps and getting their homes ADA compliant. And it's a shame that our municipality is telling them, unbeknownst to this council. And I will tell you, I have been informed of the situation, and this council has been working tirelessly with the administration to try to rectify the problem. But yet, it's really discerning to hear tonight, that this dynamic still exists. That you go, one of our senior citizens call the Economic Development Department, and they get told this story again. Now, Ben Delisle is on the line. It's been on the line. Ben, is Mr. Delisle on the line?
I do not believe so.
Is Mr. Cruz on the line?
I do not believe so.
Okay. So, are they boycotting the council meeting?
I'm unaware of any boycott, ma'am. I don't know.
Mr. Cullen, why
Yes,
isn't the administration on the line when there's a public meeting? We're all paid by taxpayers to be present here. We have taxpayers who want to know about programs that have been earmarked for them, and there's nobody here to answer their question.
And Councilwoman, I don't have the answer. I don't know why they're not online. I don't know if they're having technical difficulties.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Yep. Thank you. And I will say that this is the dynamic. So we get a lot of criticism about the council, but it's really odd and strange that certain members of our community only want to point to the council and want to criticize the council. And so it's really disheartening when you talk about unifying a community and progressing it forward and want to be a part of the progress, but yet when it's time to hold certain individuals accountable, it's always easy to point one way rather than the other. Now, that's something that we all should take a look at. in fairness. You know, we have an executive of the city, we have an administration, and you can only come to council to talk about the council. Well, then either you don't understand how government works or civics, you don't understand the entities involved, the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch, or you just want to keep to your very narrow-minded views and just say, oh, it's that council that has all those, people on it who are dangerous people, and that's the disingenuous part. That's when folks have no credibility when it comes to their statements about caring about the community. Come fight for Miss Paulette Dowling, who's not getting, when the administration is not giving her the CDBG grant funding that was earmarked for her being a senior citizen in this town for 40 years. Instead of coming to council, berating elected officials. Come to council. Stop wasting your time coming to council berating elected officials. Come to council and lobby and advocate for your neighbor. Advocate for better government. Advocate for more efficient programming so that, folks can get the services that were earmarked for them. So I'm very disheartened about the commentary that comes on this meeting every other week. It's the same old commentary, and it's read. So that means the person took time to sit down and write, just crap. Instead of coming to council and want to help this city and help your neighbors and people, help our government. Does council have deficiencies? Do we know everything? Absolutely not. Does the administration have some deficiencies? I mean, the administration, they're not even present on the call tonight. They're not accountable. They're accountable to us. They're accountable to us, meaning the city, the residents. I represent the residents. I don't just represent myself. The administration should get over themselves, for lack of a better term. They're not there. The business administrator is not there because, he wants to be. He's there. We put him there. He came here to want to help Trenton, but yet he thinks that he has the option to not show up tonight. This is unacceptable, and every citizen should be outraged. So, I'm just, I'm outraged that the business administrator is not online, that the director of housing and economic development is not online. But I just wanted to keep it positive. There are some positive things that are going on in the city, and there are some directors who are doing outstanding work. And one of them, we got a press release from the mayor about our law enforcement division, that they've done some really good policing work, and they've worked very well across law enforcement at different levels of government in collaboration with the sheriff department and the state police and Ewing Township police and et cetera, to really weed out some of the bad actors in our community. So I just want to give a shout out and a holler out to the Trenton Police Department, Sheila Coley, and all the police officers that work there tirelessly every day, every hour, every minute to try to keep our city safe and secure. And I want to certainly give a shout out to their partners in Ewing Township, Ewing Police Department, where I grew up, go Ewing, EHS all day. And I also want to give a shout out to some of the state police as well, where I know a lot of those folks over there as well that help to keep our city safe. So, Council President, I'm going to wind it down. I think we had a very good meeting, and there's a lot more work to be done, but everybody in this city needs to get their act together and stop being so bitter and come and try to help each other. And that's all I got to say about that. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad you winded it down. Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Well, yes, I have had a question. I want to know what is the status of the forensic audit for waterworks. I guess there's nobody in line, but probably Mr. Cohen can tell me what is it? Have they started yet? I have not heard a word in the past 2 weeks about it. Hopefully, the administration, since they got the $50 million bond, they are just saying, well, we are not going to do the audit now. I hope that's not it. Okay, I'd like to know what's the status on that audit.
Councilman Rodriguez, I will follow up and inquire with the water director and ascertain the status of the audit. I recall that the City Council very recently voted to adopt the resolution to retain the forensic audit company in connection with the bonding proposals, or at the commensurate with the bonding proposals, and we will follow through and determine where it's at this point, and I will seek to secure that information for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman Michelle.
No, I have nothing this time. I gave her my time, so she's good to go.
I can't hear anything. Councilman Michelle, would you speak again, please?
I said I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Harrison.
First, I'd like to thank everybody from the community and all around who came out to our all day. It was a wonderful event. So many talented people we have in the city, skateboarding, painting. We have a lot of wonderful artists in this city. Beautiful day. Regarding moving an election, I don't believe I should have the right. I believe the people should make that decision. The people should make that decision. If they want to move it to November, they should have that right. That's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, we should be worried about the people and everybody else here. You're right. I think it's too much bickering. And at the end of the day, we should worry about the business of the city. So everybody have a good night. And I'm so glad to see we're off before 3 a.m. Thank you.
Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
No comments at this time.
Councilman Blakely. I don't know what is going on.
Something's wrong with his phone.
I took care of it. It was Councilman Michel's phone. He's already spoken. He has no comment. I do not see Councilman Blakely as a part of this phone call anymore. I don't know if he's still here. Councilman Blakely? I'll mark him as exited at 9:25 p.m.
Well, I would just like to take this time and thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening. And I would like you to know that your opinion matters. And I definitely would like Mr. Cohen to talk to Mrs. Razat about the advertisements in the Section 3 piece for our city workers. And I believe that the election being moved to November is a positive thing. Again, I thank each and every one of you. I do not know why the directors aren't on. because that is not the way that you do city business. And I just really don't understand that. But in moving on and moving forward, thank everybody again and have a blessed weekend. And we'll see you in another week. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Council Vice President Caldwell Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, so ordered. We are adjourned at 9:26 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Please be safe and well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Peace out.